Hello and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to do a nativity wreath. I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. I'm going to use an 18-inch round wreath frame. I got this from the Dollar Tree a few years ago, and we're going to put this on the top. But what I wanted to show you is once you place your frame, you've got three sections here. We're going to use this mesh that I got from the Dollar Tree. It's like an off-white, kind of with some gold in it. I'm going to use that on the bottom here, the bottom three. And at the top six, I think it's six, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, the top 5 sections, I believe. Let's count these because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we have 8. So the bottom 3 is going to be this mesh on the bottom 3. The top, I have this blue. It's got like it's like a royal blue and a dark blue. That is what we're going to use on the top to make a sky. I bought this at Dollar General. Okay, this nativity. So we're making a nativity wreath. So what I do is I anchor this nativity with zip ties, and I will show you that. I do not put this on until after I'm finished with all the mesh. Okay, and we're gonna use the, I'm horrible with the names of the different methods of the wreaths, but I do believe this is called the bubble method. So I'm going to pause the video and then restart. Okay, the thing is I have 4 dogs. I have 3 dogs in here with me at the moment, so you probably are going to hear dogs, and I do apologize. But what I wanted to show you is I take this and make a triangle and fold it, trying to just get it as even as possible, and fold it like this. Okay, then you're going to take your zip tie next. Okay, so I put it underneath here. We're going to take the zip tie and tie it under here. So I've got it wrapped around like the T. Let me tie that. So you just tighten it all the way down. You're going to leave your mesh rolled toward you with the upside. Okay? So this is underneath. You're going to make sure your mesh is rolled straight out. Once you have that done, I use my wire cutters just to cut that piece off. Okay? I'll put that over there. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this so you can see the method. So you've got your mesh. You turn it under like that. Okay, and you're just going to come up here. Of course, you will take your hand and pull it to the side. And I'll show you that. So it's like this. And I would say it's about 1.5 inches up. Okay? So once you've got that done, you're going to hold the mesh with this mesh right here with your left hand, or if you're left-handed, your right hand. And then you're going to do the same thing over here. So now you just go under this middle bar and make your next loop, and you hold it. You come back under and do another bubble or loop, whatever you want to call it, in this top wire. Now what I want to show you is you'll get a little fraying. That's fine. You're going to cut that off at the end. Okay, So right now it's going to look like this. So it's loop, underneath, loop. And you're always going to have to hold it with your other hand when you go back in to make your other loops. So you're just going to go back and forth until you get to this bar, and then we're going to put another zip tie here. This will be one roll of this mesh for each section. Okay, and we're going to use 3. When you get this raveling or unraveling, or you can go in and cut it as you go, or you can go back in after you're finished making your wreath. Okay, it's not a big deal. So this is what it's going to look like when you let it go, but once it's all together, it's going to be tight. It's going to hold itself. So you're going to do a loop, go under, a loop, and you make sure that these loops have the mesh folded underneath on each side, right? Because you're going to spread those out. It's going to be like a puff, kind of like one of those loofah sponge puffs you use to shower with, but it's much prettier. Okay, so you can stop and take a break and just so this is what we're looking at, right? This is what it's going to be, but you're going to alternate it when you puff it out, which I'll show you at the end. Okay, so I'm going to continue to make this all the way down, and then I will show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've come to the end, and this is, it's kind of not the greatest mesh, but it's fine because, as I said, this is going to sit on top of here when we're done. So it really is fine. When you get to the bottom here, you're going to take your mesh, pull it together, put your zip tie here, and tie it. But since we're using this same colored mesh, I like to flip this over. This will be cut off. But your next roll of mesh you're going to use, I like to take my next roll and put it in the same zip tie. So I don't have to have a lot of zip ties on that one bar. To make sure that you get both sections, I cross them, one this way, one that way, going down, and tighten my zip tie. So this is what it'll look like before we cut it. Now I cut my mesh right above the zip tie right here on each side, so you don't have this extra when you're trying to work on your new section over here. Remember, the top of the mesh has to come, because it's coming through here, so you want the top of the mesh because you're going to pull it through here, right? Okay, so this is what it'll look like, and you'll have your meshes underneath, and it's rolled to the side. And we're going to pull it through here with both sides folded underneath, and you will take this other hand, make sure it's the same size as your other, right? And you're going to hold it, and then you will pull through here and keep going all the way down again. You've got to the end. I've added my next roll, cut the mesh at the top. So this is what it looks like so far. This is our last roll of the white. I'm going to put it underneath my wreath frame and start pulling through again. This will be the last section here, and then we'll start on the blue. What I want to show you now is if you use zip ties. The zip tie has two sides. You need the flat side. That's where you're going to put the end through. It has to go through the flat side, okay? So we're at the top. We're finished with the white. So we're just going to tie this white off because I'm going to do the blue in a different method because the blue is a 21-inch mesh where this was 6 inches. So I'm going to do a different method on the sky of this wreath. So this is what it should look like in the back. Okay, and we're going to start our blue here. So we're going to flip our wreath around, which that's essentially going to be the bottom, but we're going to work on the sky. So the sky, I'm going to use the same method that I used on the Christmas trees. If you've seen the Christmas trees video, okay, we're going to start here and come all the way around. Okay, this is 21-inch mesh. So I do the same thing. I make the triangle on the back, fold it over like that. Gonna put it underneath the wreath frame and attach it to the frame. So what I've done is I've put it through the bottom ring, right? And I'm gonna attach it at that top bar in the middle with a zip tie. This is what I mean. This is the underneath, okay? So you're gonna go to that crossbar. It's gonna be on top of your zip tie with your white mesh. And this is going through the bottom and the middle. It's going through there. You're gonna tie that down. So it looks like this, okay? We have our roll. And we are going to make sure it's folded on each side underneath, right? You basically take it into your hand and scrunch it. You're going to tie, sorry, you're going to tie this down to the middle wire, okay? So you just made, let's see, when you grab this, I would say, let me see how long this is. So it's like the length of your hand. And you scrunch it, right? And you're going to put a zip tie where your hand is on that middle wire. You're going to do this all the way around. And it's going to look like this. Zip tie is under the middle wire and on here. And you can move it, right? We're not going to pull it all the way down. We're just going to pull it enough so it stays on the wire. But we're not going to tighten this until we get to the very end, because that's the way you know how much coverage you're getting. So if you can see, once this is scrunched, it's the same height as the white, but it's covering, because it's the 21-inch, it's covering the entire wreath frame, right? And you're going to keep doing that all the way around. So here I have scrunched it. It's hard to do this because I broke my stand for my phone. So you just scrunch it, right? And I will show you what it looks like. You scrunch it over and tie it again on the middle bar. And it looks like this. The reason we don't tighten this all the way down is because you may need to pull loose or pull a little more to make sure you're getting the coverage that you need. So basically, it's going to be like that. And you cannot see the frame. You can see it here because we haven't done a scrunch here. You could do that all the way around, and then when you're done, we will fluff all of these and it will be nice and fluffy. So when you get to your last one, your last poof, remember to push your material through this back side so you don't have blue sticking up, because you're going to have to cut it, remember, when you tie your zip tie on that last one. So this is what you have when you're done. So I know it can look like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough coverage. Well, you're going to go underneath here, and you're going to grab each of those folded in sides, and you're going to pull out on each side, and it's going to open up and cover. So you go in and you fluff, 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 fluff. Do not tighten these until you're finished fluffing, so you make sure you have coverage. The reason you're not tightening them is because, say you fluff here and then this one looks like, oh my gosh, it's not going to fill. Well, when you come in and you pull out and fluff, if it covers it all, tighten it, cut the zip tie. If it doesn't cover it all, pull a little material so you have coverage all the way over. So see, after I went in and pulled this out, we have fullness, right? Now, if you do not, and if you see like a gap, you can just pull it together, okay? If you're not comfortable doing this method right here, you can do this method at the top with the blue. I would suggest using a 10-inch or a 6-inch mesh, because it's so much easier to do this with 6 or 10-inch mesh. That 21-inch mesh is too big and it's bulky, so when you go in to fluff this, it is a mess. So you have it this way. The only reason I'm doing this is because I had this blue left over from last year, and it wasn't even half a roll, but I knew I could do this wreath with it, so I wanted to show how you could do two different types of methods. You can choose which one you like, which one you're comfortable with. If you don't like using zip ties, you can use pipe cleaners as well. I'm really used to using the zip ties. Every once in a while I'll use pipe cleaner. So I'm going to fluff this now, and then let's see. So see how it is? When you start fluffing it, you open, you pull, 1 way, 2 ways, 3 ways, 4 ways. You do that way. And I will show you. Okay, so what I want to show you is, now, these frames, you can paint them if you want, because, this is white. Well, this is like a cream color. I have used burlap for like the hay part of this. But once you have it fluffed, you might see a little bit of, the wreath frame. Like I've left it here because I wanted to show you. You just basically take your sides and go one, alternate, and they just kind of mesh together. Now you have your wreath. Now I have used starlights at the top here, but what I find to make this prettier is if you just put white lights on the back of the frame. And then I found these stars at the Dollar Tree. They come in a pack. Do not get the metal ones. They don't stick with glue. Get the ones that are brown, and they're kind of like 3D. I don't have any right now to show you, and I apologize for that. And I will try to get some of those and show you guys what I'm talking about. So now that we have everything together, you want to make sure it's even. When you set this down, and then what I do is here and here, I take a stapler and staple down pipe cleaners. One here, and one here. And I tie it down to the top bottom frame. Okay, so then you would have this here, and I take my star and I put it up here. Now I've used a star up here, I've used an angel. You can do whatever you want. And then I have put the lights at the back. I do not light up the bottom part. And I just take the stars and start using a hot glue gun. I like the Gorilla Glue, but you can use whatever you want. And just glue stars alternating all over the sky. Because the star lights, those cords are short, but you can get a battery powered fairy light from anywhere and put that on the back of your wreath. And I use zip ties when I'm putting on lights, and I zip tie the lights, here. And then I use a thicker zip tie to zip tie the base of where the batteries go right in the middle here, because it goes in, it's kind of an indent, so it doesn't stick out. So you put your battery base right there and just tie it with a zip tie or pipe cleaners or whatever you want. I have also glued a battery pack to one of these people, either Joseph or Mary or the baby. If it'll fit, you can glue it. Just make sure if you glue it that you're going to keep if there's a little compartment to open up your battery compartment, that if you glue it to the back of here, your battery compartment, if it has like an access that needs to be unscrewed, it needs to be facing outwards, because if you glue it the other way, they're not going to be able to replace their batteries. So basically that's what you do. And you can use a zip tie, or you can use a pipe cleaner, and I go through these two and just go in through there and tie it all the way back. It's better to use a pipe cleaner when you do this. I try to use a white one. And you can tie it up above the manger, straight above. You can do it to the side. I've put an angel over here to the side and the star up here. I've just used an angel up here. You can do whatever you want, but basically you will have, I'm sorry, my fireplace is making a lot of noise. I didn't realize it was going to do that. Oops. My dog's toys are everywhere. I don't want to finish this because I need to put the stars on it. I have to go buy some stars. I didn't realize I didn't have any stars before I started this video. So basically, you'll have something that looks like that. And lit up with stars on it. It looks beautiful. If you want to follow me on Facebook, I have a page called Decor, the number 4, and then Your Door. Decor for Your Door, Wreaths by Beth. I will put a link in the comment section. If you have any suggestions or anything, any questions, you can ask me in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer any of those. I know my videos are different, and it was hard to hear me in my last video, so I'm hoping this one is better. And I've got to get me another stand so I can make more tutorials. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed this. Happy holiday.